chain related issues, which incidentally was in a lot of news because of COVID, and everyone started paying attention to supply chains, and it became a common name. So one good thing I can at least say about COVID was that it made supply chain a little bit more popular. That everyone understood the importance and the relevance of supply chain, and some of the terms became quite useful and common. So I believe some of you, at least if not many, some of you in this group, the nature of the program is such that you deal with manufacturing and operations and supply chain kind of issues. Is that a fair assumption?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Engineering is quite close to that. I mean, one of the part of that is, of course, one of the issues in supply chain design. Sitting in IIM, when I ask my students who come for a 2-year MBA program on day one of an operations course, that how many of you want to join career in operations after your MBA? So unfortunately, not many hands go up. So they all come with objectives or dreams of becoming either investment banker or consultant, or some of them have passion for marketing. So on day one of my course, not many hands go up. So how do I motivate that you can look at operations as a serious career choice? This is how I motivate. So I thought I'll start this group also with some similar data. There was a study done sometime back, and this is an ongoing study. So done about 10 years back, then again about 5 years back, by Standard & Poor, the CEO's profile of the top 500 firms, right? Which means the CEOs, the leaders of this firm, they come from what background? So interestingly, though not surprising to me, majority of them came from operations background, which of course is a good motivation for operations people. And equally interestingly, majority of them had immediate past profile as operations, right? So you can see as compared to other important functional areas, which means this data, what it suggests is that operations has your acceleration towards leadership goals or path towards leadership. So the road to become the CEO goes, or the leader in your organization goes from operations issues. So I think we can spend about next 1 hour discussing these issues and see how does it inspire us. Before we start, let me do a small quiz, a 10-second quiz for all of you. What I want you to do is your dream list, dream firm, where you think that you want to become. I mean, that's your dream firm. So, for example, I'll tell you the criteria. Think about 10 seconds and give me the list. That criteria should be that the firm, the example, the company that you name should have had a very high impact business model, very high impact, which means it has changed the way people consume product or services. I think somebody's mic is not mute. If you can kindly mute.
Somebody's mic is here. Satyen Kumar, please. No, you are not. Somebody else. I think Anand Behur. Anand Behur, please mute mic. Anand Behur.
Yeah, thanks.
Sorry. Yeah, please.
The second criteria should be that it should have a global impact. So not just in a particular geography. And the third criteria I want you to give me is a firm which is quite sustainable, which means not a very quick glory and then fading away. So sustainability of the business model, global impact of the business model, and very high impact business model. Take 10 seconds and give me some names which come to your mind. Your dream firms which you aspire for or which are you passionate about. Give me some names. 10 seconds. And then you start naming. I will list it down. Okay, start. Your dream firms. Anyone can name.
Funds.
Huh? Sorry?
Funds.
I'm not able to hear you. Comments, you say? Any huh?
McKinsey.
Okay, McKinsey. Okay. Any other? McKinsey, of course, in services, yes. Consulting services, yes. Any other?
Sir, yes, sir. I would like to give some names
Yeah, please.
like Flipkart, Amazon, and WhatsApp and Facebook,
Okay, Amazon, Flipkart.
because they have changed the way people are thinking.
Sure,
Means
sure.
previously,
Fair enough. Facebook. Okay. Any
yeah,
other?
Facebook, WhatsApp, Amazon, Flipkart. I'm talking.
Sure, sure.
Thank you.
Taken. Or any other product form? You are very services oriented guys. It looks like. I know you are engineering.
Sir, Mahindra, Mahindra and Tesla.
Is it justifying the global also? A little bit, yes. Okay. Any other? This is an era of make in India, so all right. Mahindra. Any other global example?
Tesla.
Tesla. Okay. Maybe one or two more. In operations class, some firms which deserve attention, and who would be the leader of this global giants? Any other name which comes to your mind? Which is making a lot of news these days, always is in news. And global impact. See, Flipkart again is an Amazon is already there. I hope you're seeing the screen. Is it visible or not?
Yeah, it's visible, sir. Yeah.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Flipkart, this is more of an Indian example. I'm looking for
Yeah.
a global example.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
Siemens, sir.
Huh?
Siemens.
Siemens, okay. Any other technology example? Otherwise, I will add one or two from my
Google,
side.
Oracle, they are there, sir.
Okay, Google, of course, so there are many services, so that I can add Google.
Yeah.
What about Apple?
Definitely Apple. Yeah. Google, Apple. Yes.
Yeah, you forgot Apple, which is right now close to $2 trillion market capitalization.
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir.
All right, so I think good enough for us to consume 1 hour on this. Okay, so what we will try to do is we'll try to understand operations of some of these firms, right? At least, if not all, maybe some of them, and then try to see how they have disrupted their business model and what is the innovation in their business model and what was the role of operations in that. Fair enough? So, let me then also give you the global ranking, because I asked you a quiz, so let me give you a little bit of current happening in that space also. So every year, Gartner is a very prestigious firm which does all the rankings. They come out with this top 25 firms on supply chain parameters, which is primarily operations-driven parameters. So, for example, this year when they came out in June, some of these firms are Amazon that you mentioned, Apple, McDonald's, Procter & Gamble, Unilever. These are the masters category, which means they are quite highly ranked. And then, of course, There's Cisco, there's Colgate, Palmolive, Johnson, Nestle. All of these are giants. Inditech, anyone can figure out what is Inditech? Which brand we're talking about here? There is Walmart, there's Starbucks, 3M, and so on. Inditech is Zara, which is again a poster boy in operations innovations. And these are the firms which you will find continuously in many of these rankings. So Apple, this is 2014 onward. I'm just giving you last 4-5 years perspective. You can see again McDonald's, Amazon, Levers, P&G, and so on, Samsung. Now, what is the basis of this ranking? You can see they have been ranked on the basis of peer opinion, Gartner opinion, which is the agency which does all the ranking. Then return on assets, 3-year return on assets. And can someone tell me what is inventory terms? And then, of course, revenue growth. So on that basis, they come out with a score, and Apple has been dominating the score for many years. Can someone tell me what is inventory terms? Have you heard about this term earlier? So inventory terms is my sales in a year, let's say annual sales, suppose in dollars, sales in dollars, over how much inventory did I keep to realize this sales. So if I say that, so this ratio is known as inventory turns. So which means if I keep less amount of inventory to realize some particular value of sales, I will have higher inventory turns. And the higher it is, the better it is, because which means I realized it in lesser amount of inventory. Yes, yes, Kamlesh, tell me.
No, it was by mistake. I'm sorry. It was by mistake. Yeah.
Okay, sure. So inventory turn is, from an operations performance point of view, one of the very critical performance measures, and this is also part of this ranking. So a firm with higher inventory turns is considered to be more efficient than compared to its competitor who has lower inventory turns, which means lower inventory turns means I perhaps, so there could be several reasons. So if you look at Apple here, and then you look at Apple's inventory turn, which is 70. So which means in a year, what is the interpretation? In a year, Apple replenishes its stock 70 times. So there are 70 inventory cycles, which means Apple's velocity is very fast. The products move very fast. Compare it with Samsung, which has an inventory turn which is a rival of Apple, but has an inventory turn of 18. So almost 4 times keeping more inventory. But still it is one of the giants and number 6 in this ranking, for example. So what can we say? What does this data reveal? What can we say that does Amazon, Samsung doesn't know how to do inventory management? Or Apple knows it better? Or is it something else? Is there any innovation happening in their supply chain here? I wanted to focus on that. If you compare these two firms, Apple and Samsung, which are supposed to be rivals, can we make a comment on these two data points? Is one efficient than the other? Or it can be something else also?
Sir,
Yeah.
can I comment on that? I'm just guessing
Yeah.
that probably the models which Samsung is making, they are means variety of models they are making, and for that maybe they are requiring more replenishment cycles also.
Absolutely.
But Apple is not making so much of models, so
Absolutely.
maybe
So
one of the reasons.
Absolutely correct. So which means that it is not just about your product design, other things. You have a supply chain angle also. At any given point of time, Apple would have very few amount of product line, product variety, maybe 2, 3, 4 models at max. Samsung would be at different price point. That's their business strategy. That's their different way of looking at the market and so on and so forth. Which means Samsung would be all over the marketplace with different touch points, with different customer segments and so on and so forth. So which means if you look at, to understand the operations of any firm, we need to understand. So to understand operations strategy of a firm and its business model related to operation strategy, we need to understand strategy itself. What is strategy? What you just said was an element of strategy. What you just described, for example, this colleague, that perhaps Apple has fewer variety than Samsung. So that's part of strategy then. That's part of my overall strategy. So how can I define strategy? I can, of course, define my larger corporate strategy. So that would be at the level of, let's say, CMD level. Mukesh Ambani's problem is of corporate strategy nature. Which industry should I enter? Should Reliance enter into retail sector? Should we enter into telecommunications? Should we enter into pharmaceutical? Which markets? Which technology? That's part of my corporate strategy, right? Typically, it's a MD level, boardroom level decision, absolutely top management. And essentially, what I'm answering here is which game to play, which product, which industry, which market, which game should I? So about what 12 years back, Indigo was launched, one of the poster boy of aviation sector in India, right? These two gentlemen are fighting. The chairman, the two board members are fighting right now. Some of you, if you're following that industry or if you're following Indigo, you would have recalled just before the pandemic there was a bitter battle between the two, between the board with the two owners. So 12 years back, if Indigo decides to enter into Indian space, airspace, that's part of corporate strategy. So I'm answering which game to play. What next? What should be the next strategy, you think? Ideally, then what question should I ask? If I have decided, so if Jio decides to launch into this market, or let's launch 5G and so on, or if Indigo decides to launch airline, what should be the next question? Anyone? What should be the next logical question, do you think any firm will have?
Whether it is dominating the sector or not.
I don't know, because it's a new, suppose it's a new entry, then how can I dominate? I cannot start dominating from the beginning. So yeah, for
So
an
target
existing
market?
player, yes. For an existing player, yes. The next question is how to play. I want to play cricket. Should I position myself as an IPL player, test match player? Now, how to play becomes part of your, it's called business strategy. Let me give some examples. So somebody can play this game that I want to be the cost leader of the industry, that no one can beat me on cost. So Amazon will say, well, cost is not my main focus. I want to compete on speed. So my delivery time should be the lowest. So Amazon will say, I want to deliver in the quickest possible time. Amazon can also say, I want to also compete with highest amount of variety. So Apple can say, I want to compete on innovation. No one can beat me on product innovation. Right? What other example did you give? So Tesla can say, again, I want to compete on innovation. Somebody can say, I want to compete on very high quality. I am not focusing on cost, but my focus is quality. Right? And so on and so forth. So let's say an Indian example, let's say our engineering giant, L&T. L&T will say, well, I want to compete on very complex construction projects. I don't deal with simple projects. I want to deal with Delhi Metro or some airport construction or very complex projects. All this could be one of your games strategy, how to play this game. It's known as business strategy. It is also sometimes known as competitive strategy. How do you want to compete? What is the basis of competition? Is it cost? Is it quality? Is it variety, speed, innovation, whatever? This is not exhaustive. You can keep counting. It is also known as very loose, in an informal way. This is also known as differentiation strategy. That how do I differentiate? And absolutely informally, this is nothing but your value proposition. You can call it anyway. If you want to formally call it, it is your business strategy. Otherwise, it is nothing but your difference. How do you differentiate? How do you play this game? So Indigo said, all right, I'll be the low-cost carrier. I will enter this market. Indigo could have been the Vistara also. But they said, no, I will be in the low-cost market. Right? Then what questions will you ask? Then what questions will you ask? Anyone? Suppose I have also decided, okay, I want to be the quality leader. I want to be the cost leader. Then what next? So let's take Indigo only. Let's maybe take a simple example. Every one of us understand airline business. So everyone would have used Indigo. We may be following Indigo. They all are struggling right now, but there is some revival. But in good old days, pre-pandemic, it was 60% market share in 12 years. There must be something they must be doing right to be such a high market share number one player only in 10 years, which is otherwise a very bleeding industry. And number two player is way behind. So what questions will you ask as Indigo's decision maker? What next?
The strategies means operational strategies then.
Okay. So let me write what you're saying. Then,
How to do means we have decided this we have to do, and this is our business strategy. Now we go with these strategies to achieve this business strategy.
so you said operational because we are sitting in an operations class. It will
Yes,
not just it will be also marketing. It will be finance, all functional strategies. HR, right? So
yes, sir. Yeah.
then
All strategies which are required for the achievement of that particular business strategy.
absolutely functional strategy. All right, good. So let's move forward then. So so let's say the only trick with this argument or only trouble with this argument is the moment you decide your business strategy, the moment you freeze your business strategy that I want to compete on these lines, we create a trade. what is the trade-off? So typically, I mean, I will give simple examples. That suppose this is quality, high quality and low quality, and then it is cost, high cost, low cost. So usually you will find high quality will come at high cost also. So there's something like a trade-off. If I am a high quality player, I should be willing to spend high cost. If I am a if I am a low cost player, perhaps my quality would be somewhere here. There is one simple example. Suppose I define this not as quality, I define this as service. And service, I define this as luxury, premium airline, business class seats, and so on and so forth. So if I define service as luxury and cost is what cost is, so Indigo will be here. So Indigo will say, I am a low cost player, my business model has lower cost, and yes, I don't bother about, I don't care about, I don't give a damn to my business class, business. On that dimension, if you want to call service, yes, I am on this side, but I score very high on the cost side. So if you say, let's say Vistara will say, all right, I am offering business class, premium, luxury, travel, and so on. So my cost will be slightly higher, but that's the story that we have created. In other words, there is no free lunch. There is always a trade-off in any business model. You can't get best of everything. That I am a high quality player, a high premium player also, and I'm also a very low cost player. No. It's like the moment you decide your space, you create a trade-off. There is no business model without a trade-off. All one has to do is understand the trade-off and then move on. It is like so much is made about vaccine. There is a side effect of vaccine, right? That's the whole That's the whole world is crying for that side effect only. So it is absolutely like that. That it's absolutely like medicine. A medicine which has no side effects has no effects. This is something like in every business model. A business model without a trade-off is not a business model because you will incur. If Apple is very high on product quality, premium, I mean this aesthetics, innovation, it's a high-cost model, right? If I want to be exclusive, targeting some consumers, very aesthetically driven, it comes with a price, and so on and so forth. Now, suppose I replace this with speed, high speed, a part of service, high quality of service. So if this is the Blue Dart, this is maybe DTDC in a courier business. Please notice, one is not saying that this is good and this is bad. No, we are not saying this. Anything which makes money is good. If I can be here, I can be here, I can be here. Anything which is profitable is good. For all you know, DTDC may be making more money than Blue Dart. We all know Indigo is number one sitting here. So the question is not where should you be here. You can be anywhere as long as you are making money there. The question, the point is, it's not even a question. The point is, wherever you are, you should understand that if you are here, you have sacrificed something. So you have sacrificed this part if you chose this part. And if you are here, you have sacrificed this part. All one is saying is recognize the trade-off. That's it. Just recognize that there is a trade-off. You can't be good in everything. So business models will have these trade-offs and operations will capture that. Now let's go to the where we left. Love. You have a question? All right. So we looked at corporate strategy, then we said there is a business strategy, and then we said there is an operation strategy, and so on, other strategies also. So of course, we will focus for the next half an hour or so on this part, the business strategy and operation strategy. So take Indigo only, just as since we continued on that example, so maybe take this for next 10 minutes more. What do you think is Indigo's operation strategy? What do you think is Indigo's operation strategy? Anyone? Can you guess?
If you are reducing the cost, it may be useful for middle class house.
No, so that question we've already answered, that I am a low-cost player. All right, I understand we are a low-cost player.
Sir,
Now,
interconnection between various cities like B cities.
routing.
Yeah, routing.
That its operation strategy. All right. Any other? Okay. Any other? What is the basis of competitive? So we are asking this now. What is the operation strategy of Indigo? This is what we are asking. We understand their business strategy is being a low-cost player. We all agree with that. What is their operation strategy now? Anyone? What is Indigo's business model?
Maximum utilization of craft in air, not on land.
Which means, can you elaborate on this?
Means the flying time is more of the craft as compared to the landing time.
And how do they ensure that? Because that everyone would want that. That would be strategy required for everyone. How do they ensure that?
So
No,
longer aircraft timing from like a flight from Delhi to Bangalore with multiple stoppages for interchanging of passengers.
So what that is popularly known as turnaround time.
Yes, sir.
We are saying they have minimum turnaround time.
Yes, sir. They have minimum turnaround time, and they ensure maximum flight time.
Okay. So that is why it is linked that they have maximum utilization because they have minimum turnaround time. Okay. Any other thing? Any other? Since it's a common example, I am using this as a basis for discussion. Any other thing that comes to your mind? Part of their operation strategy?
Is it size of the carrier also?
What about that?
Size of the carrier that is focusing on certain types of model which they are utilizing as a part of fleet.
So can you elaborate in case of Indigo? Are you guessing or are you stating? Can you guess what do you mean? You are
Airbus. Indigo is the special one which uses Airbus, and other uses the Boeing one, a different aircraft.
So Boeing is what, larger, small in size or big in size? What is
It's larger in size. It's larger in size, and the Airbus is specifically made for just passenger travel, specifically for passenger travel with a more number of seats.
I will give you 5 marks out of 10 here, but there is some merit.
Hello.
But yeah, but I will just write this down, aircraft, and then I will leave it there. We'll elaborate. Anyone else wants to add to this aircraft?
Basically, on the number of models
Yes, sir.
of the
Yes, sir.
aircraft which they are using as a part of
Hello.
number of models of the aircraft which they use as a part of their fleet. My point of concern is this.
What is the point? The number is more or less?
It is less.
Less. Okay.
Yeah.
Hello.
And
Hello.
how does it help them?
Sir, it really helps a lot in overall maintenance planning, inventory management, all the things basically.
Okay.
as far as the technical perspective is concerned.
Okay.
The major,
Yeah, overall
Sir,
service time will also be
sir.
less. Downtime will be less.
Yeah. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, carry. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah. I'm listening. Yeah.
Sir, the major operational strategy of the Indigo is that carrying the maximum passenger, whatever the route is there, when there is a maximum passenger, they should be accommodated in one plane so that enjoy the maximum profit in the minimum cost.
Okay. So you are saying load factor, passenger load factor is high.
Yes, yes, yes. So whatever the route says Nagpur to Delhi or Nagpur to Mumbai, they planning their vessel like that. There should be maximum air passenger should be accommodated. So in a single flight or single vessel, we should accommodate the maximum so that their operational cost can be reduced.
Okay. Okay. Anything else?
Sir, their target customer is middle class, and this is B type of analysis. B type,
Oh, sorry.
not the target the A type customer.
Okay. So how does it target customer be? Sorry, I actually missed that.
Sir, their target customer is in B category. They not focus on A class customer. They focus on B class customer in MBC analysis.
Okay, just 1 second. I will have to quickly write the routing. Then we said passenger load factor. Then we said
Turnaround time.
one was aircraft. And what was the
Turnaround time. Turnaround time. TET.
turnaround time. And what is the other thing we said? One more thing we said. Passenger load factor, routing, and you said, okay, I think by and large this was the, okay. And then there was another point of aircraft, type of aircraft. You said Airbus.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then the last point was the target customer. So that question we have answered. Target customer is a low cost customer. Right? So we have kind of answered. Okay. Now tell me, do you think that with this routing, passenger load factor, as one of you were mentioning just now, that they fill their seats so that operational cost goes down, is that something unique to Indigo? Will this give me these 3-4 things that you are mentioning in this cluster? Will it give me 50% plus market share in 10 years? Everyone does this. This is the most common thing in this industry. You cannot survive. If you don't do these things, 3-4 things, you can't survive. You will be out of business in 1 year. So, which means there is something more fundamental to the business model than this kind of operations strategy. Okay, look at this part then. Who was emphasizing on aircraft, Airbus, and less variety? Can you please come in again, because I could not see you.
Myself, Shashi Kumar Jan. Shashi Kumar Jan, myself.
Okay. So, Mr. Shashi, can you,
Sir.
You also mentioned the impact on maintenance and other things, right? If I remember.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's look at what is the cost of an airline business. If I were to look at, I am a low cost player. What is the cost of an airline business? Aircraft, biggest cost, resources, so pilots and other things, resources, fuel, overheads, maintenance. And then look at what Mr. Shashi Kumar is saying. By having fewer variety, what happens to my resources? See, to answer Indigo, I will take you 100 years back. In fact, more than 100 years back. So please tell me what is this? This is variety and this is cost. High variety, low variety, high cost, low cost. And this is 1907. I'm not taking you to Spanish flu. I'm taking you a little earlier than that. Because right now, 1900, early 1900 means Spanish flu only. What is this? What am I talking about? Which business model I'm talking about? This is quiz number 2 for you. Which business model I'm talking about? Anyone? Quickly. Okay, I'll give you a hint. This was the biggest disruption in manufacturing. It was onset of industrialization in some sense.
Ford.
So, since you said Ford, do you also remember the famous Henry Ford statement about this model? What business model we're talking about?
Manufacturing.
You can have
Mass production.
mass production. You can get car of any color as long as it is black.
Black, red, white.
The spirit of the argument is absolutely right, mass production. Please notice, Henry Ford was not a fool to not to recognize that by offering low variety, I am compromising, or rather I would put it like this, by giving a low cost model, an affordable car, I am compromising on variety. Henry Ford was not a fool. He deliberately did that because he wanted the car to be an affordable product. That was the business model disruption 100 years back. But the idea of trade-off is as similar as we were talking about. That in those days, if you were offering variety, it has to be very expensive because cars were assembled like a customized product before Henry Ford's disruption assembly line. It was more of a customized product, very expensive. Assembly line model standardized it and disrupted this industry. So that's how actually I define business model innovation is the health of your industry, health of your company. Like we have for our own health, BMI index.
Yes, sir.
This is nothing but business model innovation. Now, about 40, it took Toyotas, it took General Motors and others 30-40 years to kill this trade-off. See, business model innovation is nothing but killing the trade-off. So if I kill, what do you mean by killing the trade-off? Which means it took 40 years to offer variety at a low cost. Can you see that now? The variety has gone up. This is General Motors. This is Toyota. Of course, Ford also. Right? So that's how we innovate in the business models. That we kill the trade-off that we just described. So come back. The recipe of low cost is very simple. I can only have a low cost business model when I have mass
Manufacturing.
production or manufacturing, which means
It is basically China model also, sir.
which means standardization. Standardization plus scale
Scalability, yeah.
is a recipe for low cost. No rocket science there. This is actually what Wipro is doing. Very simple business model. And it gave them 50% plus in 10 years. Because not only they are focusing only on one model, which is A320 Airbus. This is just pure common sense. Of course, it's not easy to see. For us, it is easy to realize now.
Yes, sir. Right. Very true.
A320 is brutal standardization. Right? Number one. Number two, not just type of aircraft. Indigo scale also, which is the second component of low cost. Indigo is the largest customer of Airbus, not just in India, in the world. In the world, Indigo's order book for next 15 years with Airbus is close to 500 more aircraft. So, which means as a low cost model, I need to be street smart that what am I delivering in that low cost? So it is about the aircraft type, the volume. Now come to what Mr. Shashi was saying. What is the impact on other things? Resources. I need only one type of pilot training, which is the most expensive thing in airline business. Simulator training. Very expensive. I need only one type of pilot training. Right? Which means, again, I can reduce my cost here. All my overheads are very standardized. Less overheads. Biggest saving is in maintenance. I need much lower amount of inventory in the model, the system, because all my spares can be used in any other component. Right? Which means any other aircraft. Which means I can afford to keep low inventory and still maintain the uptime of the aircraft. Now come to fuel. Now fuel, one should argue that, well, if it is expensive for everyone. And if it is cheap for everyone. What is the big deal of fuel? Because of all this low cost and cash surplus available, Indigo's credit reputation with fuel suppliers is great, so they get discounts. So it's a complete ecosystem of low cost. It is not just about these low-hanging fruits. This is important. We cannot survive without good routing. You cannot survive without good passenger load factor. You cannot survive without low turnaround time. But it is like this. In our school mathematics, we used to say necessary and sufficient condition to prove a theorem. So these are necessary things. You cannot survive if you are not doing these things properly, or these operational issues. But these are more fundamental disruptions in your operations. So which means what? Which means there has to be a little bit more than this strategy. So what did we say? We said there is a corporate strategy, which is what we are discussing right now. Then we said there is a business strategy, which is what we are discussing right now. Then we said there is an operation strategy. And in that, we were stuck with two types of operation issues. One is necessary, the other was more disruptive. So let me ask a question to any one of you can answer. And anyone? Okay, let's stay with Mr. Shashi only. Where do you work, Shashi?
Sir, I am working with an engineering college at Bhopal, Madhya Pradesh.
Okay, but no one is from industry here, right? No one is from industry. It's a faculty development program. No one is from industry. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter. So,
Sir.
in your Bhopal Engineering College, what is
Sir.
the business strategy of Bhopal Engineering College? Suppose we have promised you, right, that your path to leadership is guaranteed in operations. So suppose you become director after few years.
Sir, I am the director of this institution, sir, basically, sir.
See, you are already the director. So see now.
Yeah, yes, sir.
It's a very relevant question for you. See, for me, you become director in half an hour only after operations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So
Thank
what
you,
is
sir.
the business strategy of your engineering college? Roughly,
Sir,
suppose we just want
yeah.
for the classroom discussion. No, nothing.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, sir. Basically, uh, as a part of like management, our business strategies like to provide best of the education in affordable cost.
Cost. Okay. So you are saying
Yeah,
best of the business at quality, high quality,
yeah, yeah,
and you want a low cost also.
yeah. Optimum cost. Yeah, bilkul. Yeah.
Okay. So suppose you went to McKinsey. McKinsey was the #1 firm in this group. When I asked your dream firm, someone said
Yes, sir. Definitely, sir. Yes, sir.
So you went to McKinsey for understanding how you are doing
Yeah,
as a consultant.
yeah.
And McKinsey said, all right, this engineering college is here.
Yeah.
So as a director of this engineering college, what would be your observation? Anyone can answer this question. So you went to McKinsey to figure out how you are doing.
Yeah.
On these two parameters, quality and cost is the trade-off. You want higher quality and you want it at a lower cost also, affordable cost, because there's a lot of competition, there are a lot of other options available, a lot of engineering colleges are there which offer.
Exactly, sir.
So McKinsey has put you here. What would be your comment?
Sir, basically from present day perspective, it may seem to be okay to me, but with the like many other colleges are coming up nearer around Bhopal, and even government has mooted up the idea for setting up the foreign universities in Indian scenario also. So we'll be competing with the best of education education providers in the world in the time to come. So.
Okay.
So it will be basically up to the topmost management to revisit the strategy. Like in the 10 years to come, how should we plan the things? Okay, again, the quality will come at cost. That's the thing.
Sir, we can start industry-ready programs which the industries are looking for at the same cost at which we are running our conventional courses, like advanced courses like mechatronics and specialization in robotics. So,
Listen. We don't want to go into so much of the context, the domain specificity. We are simply, because we are running out of time, I simply want to know what would be your, so let it be PNG, anything, any firm, let it be Apple, let it be Amazon. In general, forget the context, whether it is an engineering college or a firm. What is the argument here?
Sir, I should have been at the top, sir. I should have been at the top, sir.
But if you remember, sometime back we said then Indigo should be also at the top. We argued that you can be anywhere as long as, so this is your choice.
Yeah.
So the fact that, okay, let me then make it one step, let me go one step further. Suppose this engineering college wanted to be here. That is my choice. This is the market I am targeting.
Exactly. Yeah, right. Very true, sir. Yeah.
So then what is the argument? Then what is the conclusion? So then I will argue that, well, I wanted to be here, so I am here.
Yeah.
McKinsey has put me here.
Yes, sir.
Looking to the diagram.
Which is what I always wanted to be, then I have no. Then I should not be here. My cost should be then.
Yes, low.
Yeah.
So which means that this is not a good position to be in.
Right, sir.
If I wanted to be this quality player, let me call this quality X. If I wanted to be at quality X, then I should not be at this point C1. This is expensive. Then I should be at this point, which is giving me C2. C2 is lower than C1. Then I should be here. Same quality at a lower cost. So this gap
needs to be minimized.
Sorry. Oops, we lost it. Okay, let me quickly. This gap is nothing but because poor operations. This gap is because of operations inefficiency. Right? So which means what? We are going a step further now. Business strategy, operation strategy, and then OM, operations management. So what you guys were saying earlier about routing, choosing choice of cities, passenger load factor, turnaround time, these are all levers to be efficient. What will I do? So Indigo has about 150 aircrafts. I can make a mess of that 150 aircraft if I don't do my OM well. If I don't do what you were saying earlier, if I don't do good route selection, if I don't do good optimization of passenger load factor and turnaround time, I will be gone. That's the OM part of the story. How I decide what type of capacity, what type of resources, what scale of resources, large, small, dedicated, flexible, only A320, and so on and so forth. These are my strategy-driven operations. Can you see that? Whereas there is nothing strategy about routing, passenger load factor, and so on. So the role of operations is then twofold. One, it allows, so whatever we call as lean operations, inventory management, theory of constraint, project management, quality control, everything is to allow you to be on the frontier. It is a crime that if you are not here. Because what did we argue? We argued that if this engineering college was wanted to be here, and suppose they are here, they are incurring excess cost, then they should have been here, which is the best possible cost at this quality. So this is one way to look at this, that I have potential for cost reduction. Is there any other way to look at this? Is there any other way to look at this?
Hello.
Quality without
Increase the quality.
Yes.
Yeah, so the
Yes,
other
please,
way to argue this is that why don't I improve my quality if I am willing to incur this much cost? Then I can also be here, aspire to be a better quality player. And why not both? I can be here where I improve my cost also and reduce quality, improve quality also. Right? So which means anything which is not on this is a crime. What is the role of OM? Operations management is to allow you to be here. If you are here, it will allow you to compete and be here. This is nothing but efficiency, that it allows you to be efficient. And all that what we say in operations, quality control, lean, JIT, everything is nothing but to allow you to be competitive, to be efficient. But this is only one part of the story. The benefits here are small in cents. If you want benefits in dollars, then you also need to worry about your operation strategy. So what Indigo is doing can be done in terms of OM by every other player also. SpiceJet has equally good on-time performance. SpiceJet has equally good routing policies. But something which was fundamentally disrupted in Indian market was having same type of aircraft which is coming from simple logic of standardization with mass, with large scale. But again, before we close this argument, no free lunch. So what is the trade-off here? Is there any counter argument to Indigo? If you were investor in Indigo stock price, would you ask any tough questions to Indigo? And what would be that question? If you put your money in Indigo, what should you worry about? Sounds like a very dream story about such a high market share in 10 years and the next rival is way behind. But what is the risk in this business model? The benefit we talked about, that if I want to be low cost, I'm getting massive advantage of standardization. But no free lunch. What is the risk of this business model? We should also talk about risk. This story is not just one-sided. Anyone can argue on this risk side? Is Indigo's, what gives Indigo sleepless nights? Or what should give?
Maintain the threshold.
Huh?
They have to maintain the threshold.
Okay, that I will come maybe in another 2 minutes. That is not a risk, actually. That is an opportunity. That is not a risk. Risk is purely in terms of risk. What is the risk? Do you remember there was a very rare event of an air crash last year, 2019? What was the aircraft? 737 MAX, do you remember? It happened twice in the span of 6 months. Imagine, so Spice 737 MAX is actually grounded. Boeing 737 MAX is grounded. Both A321 of Indigo and 737 MAX of Boeing, they are rivals. Same size, same type of aircraft, same fuel efficiency. They are just Pepsi versus Coke type of argument. Imagine that these two rare unfortunate events were not of 737 MAX, but it was of A320 or 21. Indigo would be non-existent on this planet today. So if you have a single aircraft strategy which is driven by a low-cost business model, hence it is a standardization type of model, you also run the risk equally high. If something goes wrong to that particular capacity or that particular technology, then you are doomed. In fact, to a milder extent, this happened with Indigo. They have been asked to replace there's an engine problem in A320. So they have been asked to replace all their engines over. So what I'm trying to say is there is no risk-free business model. There is no business model without a trade-off. All one needs to do is two concluding points here. A, please recognize that whatever you are doing, there is a trade-off. Number two, you should always be on the curve to maximize your efficiency. And wherever you are, it can be here, it can be here, wherever you are. It is a crime to be not to be on the curve. All right, so let's go a step further. Suppose I am this engineering college where Mr. Shashi is the director. So this is quality and he is here. Somehow he got the best quality, or you can call it, suppose this is Apple. In other words, you are the first ranker of the class, topper. So what do you tell first ranker? What is the message for these guys?
To be on the top.
So they are already there.
Yeah, but they need to maintain it, sir, consistently.
So they need to sustain it.
Yeah.
Because that was our criteria number 2 of initial quiz, that you should have a high impact business model and then you should have a sustainable impact business model.
Exactly. Yes, sir.
And why this is important? This is 2020. Let me rewind 50 years back. Let's go to 1970. Quiz number 3. Fortune 500 here and Fortune 500 here. How much percentage firms do you think are common in last 50 years? If you compare today's Fortune 500 and 50 years back, what percentage is common, do you think, in your opinion? Quickly.
But
5.
nothing more than, not more than 30%, sir.
30?
Yeah, upper limit, sir. This is upper limit. Exactly.
Okay, so one is saying 5, you are saying 30. Average is what? 17. Actually, it is close to 13. You are right. So the average is correct. Close to 13. So which means you can be out of this coveted list very soon. So your sustainability is very critical. So how do you tell Apple to sustain? Apple's business model is business strategy is innovation. What should Apple do to sustain? What do you tell Apple? By the way, Cook also has operations background. Tom also operations background. If that motivates his answer. What should they do? Darling of the Wall Street, close to $2 trillion, which has never happened. See, last year in 2018, actually, first time they achieved $1 trillion market cap dollars, which was an amazing feat. No one had ever done it. Now, today they are close to $2 trillion. Actually, this morning it was $1.95 trillion market capitalization of Apple, the value created by Apple. So what do you tell Apple? You tell Apple that the only way to survive or maintain this curve is, this position is to keep changing this curve.
Right. R&D is the key to then. Yeah.
R&D is the key. So the only way to maintain this market position is if I launch something, let's say an iPhone, if I launch XR or whatever, 11 or 12, within 1 month, my rival will also launch. So the only way to survive is keep changing the curve. Right? So Apple is, if you keep doing it, you will be there. Now, unfortunately for Apple, for some time there was a blip. Now, which means what? So this is Apple's journey. They launched their, this is way back, journey to $1 trillion, which was 2 years back. This was iMac. Then first time Jobs became full-time CEO. This is first iPod. Then first iTunes store. Then Cook became COO. Then this is the turning point. 2007 iPhone. This is the turning point. Look at the rate of market capitalization after that. And in 2011, it overtook ExxonMobil for the first time as world's most valuable firm. And then, of course, all the way up to 1 trillion 2 years back. In a snapshot, this is Apple from its IPO to 1 trillion in 30 years, 40 years. Amazing. But life is always not rosy. Look at this. So now forget 2020. I want you to focus on 2016 to 19. Yeah, Weber, I will just come to you in a minute, Weber. Look at 16 to 19. About Apple launches, an innovative firm, R&D driven firm. Product launches are the key success. This is the stock price after launch of new products. First time in their history, 2016, quarter to quarter sales going down. Look at this business press. Apple hit with second downgrade. Analysts worry about end to innovation pipeline. First time in their history, 8 consecutive day trading losses. Questions remain about long-term demand. And look at this. iPhone slump. People stopped replacing iPhones so quickly. It became a Apple things. So I want to revisit this question. What is Apple's business strategy? Quickly, we have about 10 minutes more. What is Apple's business strategy? What do you think?
Sir, they never compromise on their quality and they never compromise.
Tell me the business strategy, one word.
Innovation.
Innovation. Okay.
Satisfaction of the
So
customer.
what have they done in last 10 years to innovate? So 2007 was an iPhone. That changed the game in the industry. What have they done? I'm coming to you also, Satyendra. Just give me 2 minutes, Vaibhav and Satyendra. I'm coming to you in a couple of minutes. Innovation.
Mix.
2007 to 2020. 13 years. iPhone has remained an iPhone. Because
Same brand identity they have maintained basically.
yes, so when they launched iPad, yes, iPhone, iPod, yes. Apple's business strategy is not innovation. You don't pamper Apple.
Brand building.
Apple's business strategy is disruptive innovation. They are because of their massive disruptive business models, which changes the game completely. iPhones killed many industries, calculators, cameras, and so on and so forth. When you don't do this, so people expect Apple to come out of a new product every year. From iPhone 4 to 5 to 6, when you only do marginal innovation or incremental innovation, then investors are not happy. That is what we saw this last 3-4 years of this worry about the share price going down and analysts being critical of Apple. Why? Because if you don't come out with disruptive products year after year, time and again, you will have this question mark. Because your business strategy is not innovation, it is disruptive innovation. You've got to keep moving in this direction very aggressively. If you don't do this, if you do it at a slow pace, which Apple was doing, it resulted in this kind of lower valuation. In fact, look at this region, 2018 to 19 period. In fact, all the way up to mid of 19. It is not very interesting from Apple's point of view. This will not be called as a disruptive innovation. This is of course today, I mean, as we speak. What has made this change? It is not COVID actually. It is not COVID because the trend started happening much before this. They in fact ended 2020 on a strong note. COVID in fact has brought it down a little bit initial days. But again, it has picked up. So what does this change? What have they done in their business model, which they were kind of struggling being number one, yes, but still struggling, and I have shown you the business press leading up to this. What have they done? Which is what we call it as keep innovating in the business model. What is that, what they've done? Any idea? iPhone is still an iPhone. If I only increase screen size from 3 inch to 4 inch to 5 inch, camera, this and that, that is not innovation. Expected from Apple. That is called as incremental or marginal innovation. What has Apple done? Very quickly, we're running out of time, and then I have to take a couple of questions from.
Sir, they have maintained basically the faith in their brand. Basically, they have
No,
changed it.
no, we're talking about operations. Let's forget about brand and marketing. What about
Yeah.
their operation strategy? What about their fundamental strategic levers? Faith and trust are all qualitative argument. What is the fundamental strategy that they've done, which is resulting in this, again, kind of rebound?
Privacy.
New software that they have developed.
No. Still more disruptive, more strategic. The focus on service.
The new MacBook or the MacBook Air and MacBook Pro.
No. So Apple is no longer focusing as a product firm. See, I'm talking about fundamental issues here. If my product innovation is saturating, which is an iPhone contributes 60% of the revenue. Please notice, some innovation in iMac and nothing will not change dramatically my fortunes. 60% of my revenue come from iPhone, and iPhone is saturating in its innovation. 6 to 6S, 7 to 7S is only manipulating the size, the camera quality, and so on. It does not fundamentally change the architecture of the product. Hence, if my 60% of the product revenue is saturating, it is not giving me enough excitement. Their focus on services has gone up in the last 1 year or so. For all you know, in next 1 year, Apple will no longer be looked as products company. That's the rate at which services is growing at Apple, right? And the only argument in favor of Apple is this is not unique to Apple. This is famously known as the curse of the top dog. Why? Look at this. Look at some other giants. General Electric, Microsoft, ExxonMobil, IBM, and so on and so forth. This happens with many firms. History has enough evidence. Look at this. For more than 20 years, the average returns of these 4 giants as compared to the benchmark index. Before they were most valuable, leading up to their most valuable, and then look at after that. So there comes a time in your business model where you need to take some different steps. Apple was also going this way. This was a period, if you look at the business press from 17 to 18, 19, Apple was a little bit shaky. The rivals were catching up fast enough, which is what they have kind of now regained their glory by becoming also a little bit more focused on services. When they realize that, so yes, the other, of course, optimism in this product, this thing is that maybe 5G will be a game changer again. We don't know yet, right? So the fundamental point is you need to keep a very tight connect between what is the differentiation that you are trying to achieve through your business strategy, which is defining your business model to be very precise. What is the related strategic elements of your functional strategies? Of course, we are focusing on operations, but there will be more, like some of you said, brand and trust and so on. Very true. That's the marketing part of the functional strategy which Apple has been able to retain. We focus more on the operation side. And then as a last point, to take a deep dive into operations, operations is not just about strategy, it also is more, in fact, we all know operations from this view only, that it's an OEM concept. We often ignore that it has a very strong strategic element also, which in fact is a disruptor in the functional way. Both are critical. One is giving you efficiency, the other is giving you effectiveness. There is a big difference between effectiveness and efficiency. One is disrupting your strategy, the other is making you more efficient. To wrap up, and then I will take a couple of questions that you were raising in the hands. Just to give you this concluding thoughts on Indigo. Okay, here it is. The question is, you could have asked me, you have a very genuine question that should come to your mind. If in 10 minutes we are talking about Indigo's business model, that it is about standardization and scale and so on, then why the hell there are not many Indigos? So why can't competitors copy you? Well, the answer is, we don't have much time now. Answer is they can, and they do. You know what is the first thing Ajay Singh did when he retained the few years back, when he came back to SpiceJet? He understood that yes, standardization perhaps is a better model in the Indian industry, because the cost sensitivity of the industry makes it more amenable towards standardization. So they also started doing that. In fact, because 737 MAX was in trouble, SpiceJet is in trouble because they relied on Boeing 737. So that's possible. So rivals do copy you. It is just that you have certain advantage as a first mover anyways, and you can capitalize on that. Anyway, now I think there were a couple of hands raised. I remember one was Vaibhav. I don't remember the other name. Please go ahead. What was your question? Yeah. Yeah, I think, was it inadvertent? Any other comments, any other thoughts before we conclude? Any questions, any comments before we conclude? All right, then, thank you very much to the organizers as well as all of you. I think it was quite interesting, and I hope that you enjoyed it. So thank you very much, Professor Soni and Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Professor Piyush Mehta is there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Professor, on behalf of the Institute and Department, we both the hosts are really grateful to you for, I know how hectic is schedule going on right now because of these online classes and pandemic everywhere. You still have agreed to our request and you have come, and it was really very fruitful session. I was full-time there in the session, and I mean, more apart, my participant also participated nicely the way you wanted. So I hope you also might have enjoyed doing this session. Yeah. So thank you very much once again.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mehta sir.
Thank you.
So we'll have a break of Barbeji, 10-15 minutes. I think your session after this.
Okay.
So 5:30, yeah, 5:30. Okay. No, it's not your session. That, the session of yoga and meditation. Yeah. So that will be there.
5:30.
Okay.
Rajiv Nair, sir.
So, yeah, Rajiv. So I may leave for some time. So if I'm not connected, you can please introduce him.
Sure, sure.
Barbeji, and okay.
Sure.
So okay, then we'll call off this class now. We'll again reassemble after say 10 minutes only. So 5:30. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye, sir.